This is the geometry review for test 16. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go over every question. I'm sending you a copy of the review and I'm going to go over every question, and so that's how you're going to do your review. You're going to use this video to do your review. I want to go over every question and talk about it, so there shouldn't be a reason that you should not get a 100 on your review. So on number 1 on the review, you've got, well, that's hard to see because of the glare. Let me move this over some to get out of the glare. That didn't help. You've got to be kidding me. Okay, so on number 1 on the review, you have that a person on the top of a 40-meter water tower sees a car below, and it gives you an angle of depression. Remember, angle of depression is always sky down, and my marker's dead now. Great. Okay. You're going to go back. Okay, so it says that that person is standing on a 40-foot tower. So that means your vertical distance is 40 feet, meters actually. It's meters. At an angle of depression, that is 30 degrees. And then how far in meters is the person from the car? So you want to solve for x. So that's what you want to solve for. So remember, you're going to use sine, cosine, or tangent, or you're going to recognize that it's a 30, 60, 90 degree triangle. You've got the short side. You just need to double it for the hypotenuse. So I'm going to show you both ways. This is a 30, 60, 90 degree triangle. You've got the short side. So the hypotenuse would be 2 times the short side, and you get 80 meters. Or you could see that you've got from 30, you've got opposite over hypotenuse, which is sine. So sine of 30 is opposite 40 hypotenuse x over hypotenuse x, and x would be 40 divided by sine 30. So you can do that either way. Either way, so when you put that in your calculator, you put it just like that, 40 divided by sine 30. Either way, you get 80. Either way you do it, you get 80. I don't care which way you do it. You don't have to do it both ways. On the review, choose one, and then whichever one you choose, make sure you use the same one on the test, because you are going to use these reviews on the test. Okay, then, so that's number 1. Then on number 2, you've got this drawing. You've got a circle, and you've got tangent circles is what you've got, is tangent circles. And then their centers are connected. And you've got this triangle, and you are given that circle A is tangent to circle C. So they're meeting right there at just that point right there. And then the radius of A is 7, so that's 7. The radius of C is 4, so this is 4 and this is 4. And you want to find the area of triangle ABD. So we are given that BD is tangent, so that's a right angle right there, okay? So we know this is 7 because it's a radius. So we need to find the height of the triangle, okay? That is not the hypotenuse. This is the hypotenuse. The 7, 4, and 4 is the hypotenuse. So your hypotenuse would be 8 plus 7, which would be 15. So you're going to use a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So you're going to have 7 squared plus h squared equals 15 squared. And then you're going to subtract 7 squared. So h squared equals 15 squared minus 7 squared. And then you just need to take the square root of that. Round it to 2 decimal places. So let me see what that is. Let me get my calculator. So I would just do the square root of 15 squared minus 7 squared. And get about 13.27, because it came out to be 13.27 6'6", so 13.27, that's my height. Now make sure you finish this and actually find the area. The area of the triangle is base times height divided by 2. Your base is 7, your height is now about 13.27. So you would do 7 times 13.27 divided by 2. So 7 times 13.27 divided by 2 gives me about 46. I'm supposed to round it to the nearest square meter, so I round it to 46 meters squared. So make sure you round things correctly on this test, okay? Then on number 3, you are supposed to take A, which is negative 2, 2, and B, which is negative 4, 2, and C, which is negative 3, 0, and you're supposed to make a 180 degree rotation. So 180 degree rotation about the origin, which means you just switch your signs. It changes X, Y. Well, yeah, you just change your signs. It turns it to negative X and negative Y when you do the 180 degree rotation. So A would be 2 comma negative 2. B would be 4 comma negative 2. A prime, B prime, sorry I didn't put my primes on it. And C prime would be 3 comma 0. Because you just change your signs. You don't flip it, you just change your signs. So that's how you do a 180 degree rotation. Then on number 4, you are having to decide if that's a rectangle. So what you want to do first on number 4, you've got this, it tells you it is a parallelogram. It gives you the parallel signs. This is 8x minus 14. And this is 6x plus 12. So you're told it's a parallelogram, which means opposite angles are congruent. And you want to see if it's a rectangle. So the way to see if it's a rectangle is you need to find x and then plug in and make sure that these angles are 90 degrees. But you have to find x. You cannot set them equal to 90. You have to set them equal to each other because it's a parallelogram and opposite angles are congruent. So you'd subtract 8x. Make sure that you do one step at a time on this equation or I'm going to take off points on your review and on your test. So make sure you do one step at a time. You do it exactly like I'm showing you to do it. Your review should look exactly like my review. If it doesn't, I'm going to take off points. So make sure that you follow exactly what I do. X is 13. Now we plug back in because we need to see if these angles are 90. Really, we can just see if one of them's 90. So I can plug into 6 times 13 plus 12. So 6 times 13 plus 12 gives me 90. So the answer is yes. So you have to have all of that. You set them equal to each other, you find x, you plug x in, you see if that angle's 90 degrees because a rectangle is a parallelogram with one right angle, and so the answer is yes. Then on number 5, you have to do the sine of 44 on your calculator, and you have to round it to the nearest hundredth. So you just take your calculator, and you hit sine 44, enter, and then you round that to 0.69 because it wants the nearest hundredth. So that's what number 5 should look like. So that's what your number 5 should look like. Then let's see, number 6. Number 6, we want to find the volume in cubic centimeters of a tetrahedron, which is a regular triangular pyramid. So it's a regular triangular pyramid. We want the volume of a pyramid. Volume of a pyramid, remember, is base times height divided by 2, where all faces are congruent with a base area. Oh, they give you the base area. They tell you the base area is 6.8 centimeters squared. So they give you big B because that's your base area. 6.8 is your base area. And then your height is 3.45 centimeters. That's got to be divided by 3, guys. 3.45 centimeters, okay? And again, I messed up on the first volume. The volume is area of the base times the height divided by 3. They give you the area of the base. They give you big B. They give you H. So you just do 6 times 8, or 6.8 times 3.45, and divide by 3. And round it to Doesn't say. So we're going to put 2 decimal places. So 6.8 times 3.45 divided by 3 gives you about 7.82 centimeters cubed. So that's how you do number 6. Then number 7. Number 7, identify the type of transformation. That transformation on 7 is a rotation. You need to make sure you go back to lesson 67 and know the difference between a rotation, a reflection, and a translation. So we were there. You have notes on it. You can go back in your book and look at it, but make sure. Number 7 is a rotation, but on the test it may be a reflection or a translation. So make sure you know that. And then the equation of x squared plus y squared equals 49. We're supposed to graph circle A. They tell you it's a circle. So the first thing you do is find your center. Since it's x squared, y squared, your center is 0, 0. Your radius is 7. And so just on your paper, it doesn't have to be on graph paper. It doesn't have to be perfect. Your center is 0, 0. You go up 7, right 7, down 7, left 7. Draw that in. Put 7s to show that you know that's the radius. And there you go. That's all I want to see on 8. Number 9, you're finding an exterior angle. You've got a circle like this with 2 secants. One arc is 65 degrees. One arc is 17 degrees. You want this angle out here. You want angle C. So you do 65 minus 17 divided by 2. A lot of you mess up on this because you put it in all at once. You do 65 minus 17 divided by 2. Well, the calculator follows order of operations. It'll divide 17 by 2 and then subtract it from 65, and that's not what you want it to do. You want it to subtract 65 and 17 first, so hit equals, then divide by 2. So that is 24 degrees. So be careful with that because a lot of you have messed up on that in the past. So don't mess up on that since I pointed it out. Okay, then let's see number 10. Number 10, you simply want to find the surface area of a sphere. Surface area of a sphere is 4 pi r squared. You were given that it's got an 8-foot radius and you want it in terms of pi. So 4 pi times 8 squared. So 8 squared is 64. You multiply that by 4, so 64 times 4, 256. Leave it in terms of pi, so you leave the pi. Feet squared because it's surface area and it was in feet. Okay? Number 11 wants us to find the lateral area of a cylinder. Lateral area of a cylinder is pi r h. That's the lateral area of a cylinder, actually 2 pi r h, because remember a cylinder, you know, has a base that's a circle, so we need the circumference of the base or the perimeter of the base times the height. Okay, so lateral area is 2 pi r h. It's just up this part. It's just that it's like a Pringles can without the top and without the metal bottom. And we also want it in terms of pi. So we are given on this that the radius is 7 and that the height is 21. We want it in terms of pi, so I'm going to leave the pi there. So 2 times 7 times 21 gives us 294 inches squared. Now, if I've gone too fast on any of these, stop the video, rewind, watch it again. Okay, stop the video, rewind, watch it again. That's one nice thing about having these videos is you can stop them wherever you want them, think about a problem, or go back to a problem or whatever. So make sure that if you need to, stop the problem, okay? Then on number 12, you've got a circle, you've got a tangent and a chord, and then a 143 degree arc. And you want to know the measure of WX Y. So you want this angle right here. So you just divide 143 by 2. It give you, it's not about, it's actually equals 71.5 degrees. So that's the way you work that one on number 12. On number 13, let's see, we're painting a floor, a gazebo. It's in the shape of a regular hexagon. We want the total area that must be painted on the floor. So it's a regular hexagon. This is number 13. It's a regular hexagon, so draw a hexagon. You were given that the side length is 14. And remember, to find the area of a regular hexagon, it's apothem times perimeter divided by 2. Apothem times perimeter divided by 2. We've got a 14-foot side, so we need the apothem. We need the apothem. So remember, apothem of a regular hexagon, and you've still got your, or you should still have your formula cards that you can use. And you're going to use this review on the test as well. So that should help out a lot. Remember, apothem is side square roots of 3 divided by 2, or side over 2 square roots of 3, either way. So my side is 14, so 14 square roots of 3 all over 2, which would be 7 square roots of 3. So this is 7 square roots of 3. So I've got my apothem, which is 7 square roots of 3. I can find my perimeter by doing 14 times 6. So whatever 14 times 6 is, 84. And then I've got to divide by 2. So then we do 7 times 84 divided by 2. That gives me 294. Square roots of 3. Don't forget that square root of 3. Feet squared. It doesn't specify, so you could leave it exact or you can round it. So if I put this in my calculator, 294 square roots of 3, I get 509.22. So either one, 509.22 feet squared as well. Either one, it doesn't specify. You don't have to put both. I would stop at exact because you don't have to type anything on your calculator. It just saves a step. But it's up to you because it doesn't specify. Okay, then on 14, we are calculating the lateral area of a right cone. So let's see, we want lateral area of a right cone, which would be pi r times the slant height, because it's cone. And let's see, where'd it go? So my radius is 9 and my slant height is 21. Radius is 9, slant height is 21, so we don't have to find anything weird. It's to the nearest hundredth. If I didn't mess up, this will be good. So pi times 9 times 21, 593.76 to the nearest hundredth inches squared. So that's, I didn't finish drawing my cone. There's slant height. So that's the lateral area of a cone, and it says nearest hundredth, so that's what I rounded it to. Then let's see, on 15, you are taking E, which is 0, 0. You're taking F, which is -2, -4. You're taking G, which is -3, -1. You want to find the image after this translation, x, y, such that x plus 4, y plus 2. It says to show the pre-image and image. I do not want you to graph these. Do not graph. I've told y'all that over and over, and some of you are still graphing it. Do not graph these. I don't want them graphed. I just want the new coordinates. And all you do to find the new coordinates is add 4 to the x and 2 to the y. So E prime would be 4, 2. F prime would be 2, -2. And G prime would be 1, 1. So that's E prime, F prime, G prime. Do not graph. Do not graph. If you graph them, I'm going to count them wrong. Because I've told you, I've written it on here, do not graph them. I don't want to see the pre-image and image. I just want to see the new coordinates. Then on 16, we have a kite. And we just want to find the lengths of the sides of the kite. So you've got this kite. It's got the diagonals in. It shows this is 7, this is 20, and this is 13. Remember, in a kite, the diagonals are perpendicular, and these sides are equal, and these two sides are equal. So what happens is you've got 4 different right triangles in here. These two are congruent, and these two are congruent. So we've got to do a squared plus b squared equals c squared twice. One for these 2 small triangles, and one for the bottom triangles. So top would be 7 squared plus 13 squared equals c squared. So c is going to be the square root of 7 squared plus 13 squared. So let me make sure. 7 squared plus 13 squared is about 14.76. So this top one, we're rounding to the nearest tenth. So it'd be 14.8 and 14.8. Then the bottom one, you would do 13 squared plus 20 squared equals, well, c squared again. We can use c squared again. So c is going to be the square root of 13 squared plus 20 squared. So square root 13 squared plus 20 squared gives you about 23.85. Again, rounding to the nearest tenth, 23.9. So I want things drawn. I want the kite drawn. I want you labeling it like this. We don't have feet or inches or anything. Showing all your work, showing all the formulas that I'm showing. I want your review to look exactly like this review. And I want your test to look exactly like the review. So make sure that it does because I'll count off if not. Okay. Then on, let's see, on 17, you've got vector P, you've got vector Q, and you've got vector R. Now they are on a coordinate grid on the review, and you should be able to see the lines. So you want to go from initial point to terminal point. So vector P would be left 1 up 3. From this dot to that one, it's left 1 up 3 if you look at the grid on your paper. Q is the same. It's also left 1 up 3. And remember to put them in, this is component form, so make sure you put them in the square bracket, the pointed brackets. And then R, or vector R, is the same thing. And then you are supposed to add the vectors. And they tell you they're equal vectors. It said add the equal vectors, so you know they're all equal. So if you can figure out P, Q and R have to be the same thing. So the resultant, when you add them, is negative 3, 9. Make sure you put those pointed parentheses on it to get it in component form. Okay? So that's number 8. That's number 17. Now we're on to number 18. Number 18 has 2 circles that share common tangents. Oh, I can't. I tried to do that way too fast. Okay. My marker is not cooperating at all. Okay. Okay, there's the 2 tangents, and they show x and 7, and then 2x minus 5 and x plus 2 are what they show on this. Let me make sure. Okay, so remember, these pieces are congruent and these pieces are congruent. So to find x, x is simply 7. Like there's no work to show, it's x equals 7. Now, you are asked to find AG and BG. You are asked to find AG and BG. So that's where you need to plug in, but you only need to plug in once. So 7 plus 2 is 9. So AG equals BG equals 9 because those 2 pieces are congruent. So you find x and plug back in. Make sure that you plug back in. Make sure you find AG and BG. Make sure you finish the question like I've done, and make sure you finish it on the test. Okay, then number 19, you've got 2 circles again with external common tangents like this. Not really. And then this goes, all the way out to E. It actually meets, but I ran out of room. But you've got 31 and 4x plus 3, and you've got 5x plus 4 and 6x minus 3. Again, congruent, congruent. So you could either set these 2 equal to each other and find x, or you could set these equal to each other and find x. I think putting 4x plus 3 equals 31 is easier, but it's not the only way to do it. 4x equals 28, divide by 4, so x is 7, and then you are not done. You have to find the distance between AC, so you have to find AC. You also have to find BD and DE. So there's AC, this is B to D, and then D to E. E is this point out here. okay? Well, D to E is 31 because they're congruent. So we know DE is 31. Feet, 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 feet. Make sure you label. Make sure you label everything. And then to get AC and BD, they're going to be congruent. So you just plug in 7. So 6 times 7 minus 3. That'd be 42 minus 3, which gives you 39. So both of these are 39 because they're congruent. Feet, feet. Make sure you label, okay? There's only 19 on the review. So that's done. So this review is due 4/9. That's Thursday. That's this Thursday. It's due 4/9. It's not due on Friday because Friday we're observing it as Good Friday, so nothing's going to be due on Friday. But this is due, and the test is also due 4/9. Okay, I'll send you review and I'll send you the test in an email. It'll be an attachment that you can open and look at. You don't have to print them out. You can just work them on a separate sheet of paper. You don't have to print them out. You can print them out if you want to, but you don't have to. Again, they're both due Thursday, April 9th.